I see Chalet in the house. Chalet in the house. Woohoo! Yeah, so we're going to be going over Delphi. Some people, they don't know about it. And so I'm going to do a little bit of review, but there's also some new stuff. Chalet says, sometimes I assume everybody's living in my brain. And by golly, they are not. They only live there free of rent if you let them. A cup, what does it say? Dream, believe, achieve, with a dragonfly. And inside I've got my chokeberry tea that my mom gave me from South Dakota when she went. I should put on my handy dandy kissing potion. Even though it's not 6th grade anymore and I don't have anybody that I'm kissing, but you know, it makes me look pretty. It's a pretty cup. Thank you so much. Yeah, I like this one. I'm not sure where I got it. I think it was a gift. I don't think I bought it for myself. It was really a nice gift. South Dakota, right next to Iowa. Yeah, there you go. Yep. I don't know if I should start yet. I mean, where's Frugal? Frugal, are you in the house and you're not hiding? You know, are you hiding? Because, you know, I was hoping, because I know Frugal doesn't know anything about the case. So, all right, let's get started though. Frugal's just going to have to catch up on replay. We never went to South Dakota, although you hear that you were there as a baby. I know I was in Tijuana as a baby. I mean, like on a trip. In Yellowstone as a baby. I don't remember either of those. Okay. Oh, Mumsy's in the house. Woohoo! Mumsy's in the house. So we're gonna do some review. I have got a PowerPoint. Ta-da! Yeah, so graphic warning. I mean, that was really more for Idaho 4. The discussion of the injuries committed during the crime. We're not going to really discuss that many injuries, but whoops, there we go. A little bit, you know, we'll talk about the crime scene a little bit. Apparently you cried and screamed when you went to South Dakota. Oh my God. Well, there's Frugal. Frugal's in the house. Frugal's in the house. Woohoo! All righty. So Delphi, here's some background. These are the two girls, Abby and Libby. All right. They were 13, 14, something like that. Libby seems to be in the positioning of the crime scene, which we'll get later, seems to be centered on her and Libby, of course, with her also. Yeah. All right. Now, so February 13th, 2017. This is when it all went down. And so 1:30 p.m., Abby and Libby were dropped off by their sister at a park called this bridge you see a picture of, that's the Monon High Bridge. And I think that the park is called Monon Park. It's in Delphi, Indiana. Okay, so there are some people out there that say that they think that they were murdered before that the sister never dropped them off. I don't go in that direction, but just letting you know that there are people that think that. All right. They get dropped off at 1:30 by the sister. 2:07, we have Abby taking a picture of Libby on the bridge, posted on Snapchat. There are also rumors that this is like just a Photoshop picture and it wasn't real. I don't know. But as far as the timeline goes, presented by the prosecution, there's Libby. You guys can't see my my mouse. All right. Everybody's just saying hi to each other. All righty. Also, at 2:13, there's a video of a man approaching them who has become known as Bridge Guy. We'll get to that next. At some point years later, the prosecution, well, the law enforcement, there was no prosecution yet because they didn't have anybody arrested. Law enforcement released a video of a man walking toward them that was from Libby's phone. And then later that was released pretty quick. Then later they released some audio of him saying, guys down the hill. All right. So that there was voice. So if anybody recognized the voice, if anybody recognized this person, they could call the tip line and hopefully they would arrest the suspect, but they never did. I mean, they had plenty of tips come in, but they never arrested anybody. All right. And that was at 2:13, which is some of the new stuff that comes out today. All right. I mean, 2:13, that's when the video was, that's old news, but something about that is new today. 2:30, family arrived to pick up the girls. They're not there. They start searching. 3:37 p.m. Witness see man. Oh, okay. There's a witness that sees a man that police believe is the killer walking back to a car after the murders. All right. Now, whether or not that witness did see the killer or not, we don't know. The probable cause affidavit states that this witness saw a man that was muddy and bloody. The defense then later said, no, the witness only said muddy. They didn't say bloody. The law enforcement made that up and added it into the PCA, according to the defense. Okay. And so that witness occurrence happened at 3:37, and that's crucial for the timeline that is set up by law enforcement. So they're saying at some point between 2:07, the Snapchat, or 2:13, the video, and 3:37, when someone saw this man walking, is the girls were murdered during that window. Okay. There's questions about that, but that's what law enforcement says. So every alibi that they check, if they have a suspect and they check their alibi, they're checking for this time only, this window. At 5:30 is when the family finally called the police. The girls were discovered the next day on the 14th in 2017 at 12:30 p.m., found by volunteer searchers. Okay. Everybody caught up with that. So, background of the investigation, the timeline. So, they say the murders occurred during that window. Actually, the first thing they did was they released the audio without the video. I got that backwards. Good thing I have my slideshow that I made. So, February 22nd, they released just a snippet of the audio. They say that this video is 43 seconds. All right. They still don't arrest anybody. They do investigate Ron Logan, who was the property owner of where the girls were found in March of 2017. So pretty quick. They released a sketch in July. So what's that, 5 months later? And the man with the hat, the sketch of the man with the hat is the one that they released July 17th. Now, 2 years later in 2019, they released the second sketch, the younger man with the curly hair, and the video of the man walking on the bridge, who they say is the person who killed them. Now, as far as I know, the only thing that we can actually say from the evidence of this video, as far as we know, it's 43 seconds. We don't know what's on the rest of it, right? That this person did abduct them, all right? Because apparently he's walking towards them. He pulls out a gun. He doesn't shoot them, but just to herd them down the hill. And then at some point later, the video ends, right? So we can say, provided that this video and the Snapchat photo were not edited and added to the phone, right? If this is genuinely what Libby took, which I don't have any specific reason to believe otherwise. I'm just saying there are people that believe that it's doctored and edited and was added to the phone. There are people that think that. I'm just going to go with that. Yes, this is the video that Libby herself caught on her phone. Then we can say there's evidence of them being abducted by this person. We cannot say that this person is the one that killed them. That, I mean, the evidence, I mean, it's circumstantial that this is the same person, that this person could have killed them. Especially given the timeline window. But we don't know. He could have handed them off to somebody else. Also being investigated in December. So then fast forward another 2 years. In December of 2021, police start to investigate Kevin Klein. And he had a catfish account. So those pictures along the bottom, the two younger man, that's just a grab of some random guy. They've figured out who this guy is. He's not involved at all. I don't remember if he lived in Alaska or something. I don't know. But Kevin Klein took this guy's picture to make a catfish account, right? Pretending to be this guy to lure young girls. And he has since been arrested on, those kind of charges. I think everyone likes to say CP because YouTube doesn't like us to say child, PORN. You know, I don't know if it would. I guess they just kind of shadow ban you. They don't like take down your, well, some people, they get their videos taken down, I guess. I don't know. I've never had that problem. I'm not too worried about saying some of these words. And then, so there's a picture there of Kevin Klein and his father, who I believe is Tony Klein. And so they were suspected for a while. Yeah, Chalet says that you guys know what I mean. All right. So that kind of updates you, gives you a background. If you don't know anything about this case, then you understand if there's ever anything about Bridge Guy or the sketches. And you can see these two sketches are completely different. And it's possible that there were two different people, that one younger, one older, that were seen, you know, that could have been involved, right? Later, after they arrested Richard Allen, Doug Carter, who was kind of in charge of the investigation by that point, at least he was definitely the one that was speaking the most. He said that, if you amalgamate the two pictures together, it's Richard Allen. You know, I'll leave that up to you to decide. So here's I'm not going to go into all these details, but I will just say that in October of 2022, Richard Allen was arrested. And these are his lawyers, his public defenders that were appointed. Now, November 3rd here is the day that the judge ordered Richard Allen moved to prison. And let me clarify there, because, Chalet says, I think you need a lot of haters for that. Oh yeah, like then people are like complaining or something, and then YouTube does something about it. Yeah, that could be. I'm too small for them to worry about. But if it is just like an AI thing that's like checking out what you're saying, then I don't know, maybe they don't run small programs through it. I don't know. Okay, so this is an important date because most people, when they've been arrested, go to a jail. Because wherever you're watching in the world, you need to understand that in the United States, there's two different kinds of lockup places. One being a jail, usually run by a county, so it is often referred to as a county jail. Then After you've been convicted, you go to prison. Well, some people, if it's a minor offense, they serve a year or 2 years in jail. But once you've been convicted of a serious felony, you go to prison, which is a totally different thing. And so the fact that they moved Richard Allen from jail to prison is kind of a big deal, that I don't know if it's actually ever been done before, where a non-convicted suspect is sent to a prison. But the judge ordered it, and the judge recused himself immediately afterward. I think he wasn't happy about doing it. And he said something about his personal safety and his family, you know. So on that same day, Judge Francis C., the letter C, Gull, Gull, was named as the replacement judge, as a special judge to replace him. So she's not from the same local area. She's from a different county in the state. All right, in the state of Indiana. So that's all you kind of need to know here. When I first made this, there was a lot going on between the lawyers and the defense of Richard Allen, but that's not the topic of what we're here for today. Hey, Queen is in the house. Woohoo! So if you need to take a screenshot or something and read over those dates, I dug and dug and dug to make sure I got all the right dates of everything that happened. Same thing with this one, the defense timeline. This is more about, when I say defense, I mean the defense attorneys and the defense strategy, what was happening with the defense, okay, and court hearings and things like that. I'm not going over all that because that's not our subject today. But the yellow, what I have to put in yellow here, I do want to mention. This is when the defense filed what has become known as the Franks memo, which was a request for a Franks hearing. And then there was a supplemental memorandum, which gave a lot of details. I don't know. It was like 20 something pages or 70 something pages. I don't know. It was a huge memorandum, right? With all these details. And so they submit this to Judge Gull on September 18th, 2023, just last September. And that is when this case blew up. I'm going to say this is when it blew up in the whole true crime community. Were people aware of this case? Yes. Even when, before Richard Allen was arrested, there were a few channels that might, that have talked about it since the girls were found murdered, right? And followed all along. Police are investigating this person. Police are investigating that person. And they've been following it all these years. Not the true crime community like as a whole, right? When this Franks memo came out, that's when everybody got involved, because the information in this Franks memo is what made it like, now all the puzzle pieces don't fit, right? And that's when we grab on to a story. If the puzzle pieces fit, then it's like, oh, okay, there was a tragedy, so sorry, but we don't dig into it. There's nothing to dig into. This Franks memo was the Pandora's box that got opened. All right. Okay. And then this is just, stuff that was going on between, Francis C. Gull, she was attacking, she is so biased. There's all here, all this stuff I'm talking about in here is examples of her bias towards Richard Allen's defense attorneys, Baldwin and Rosie, and who I showed pictured before. And so this is all I was going through all the details. Okay, we don't care about that. She's biased. Then the Supreme Court got involved because she did some dirty. And so the Supreme Court said Baldwin and Rosie is still on the case. Judge Siegel is still on the case. All right. So what are the bombshells of the Franks memo? This is funny because like in my PowerPoint that I made, these things are not all overlapping, but when I upload it into StreamYard, things kind of move around a little bit. All right. So the bombshells of the Franks memo. The witness testimony, which I mentioned, was not, the defense is saying that the witness testimony is not what was in the PCA, the probable cause affidavit for Richard Allen's arrest. All right. They mentioned the ballistics. So for anyone who doesn't know, after they found the girls and they had their crime scene tape up, they collected whatever they needed. They took the crime scene tape down. And a couple of days later, somebody's out there with a metal detector and finds a bullet, not just a shell casing, but a complete unfired bullet, a cartridge, right? And then law enforcement took that cartridge, and when they took a gun from Richard Allen's house, they said that, so what you do is you put a bullet in the gun and then you eject it. And they're saying that the mark from the ejection matches the cartridge that they found. Okay. That now a bullet that's been fired and has gone through, because there's striations inside the muzzle. And so as the bullet goes through, a bullet can, if you have enough of the bullet fragment, you can line up those striations by firing another bullet out of the gun, and you compare the fired bullets. That's a science. But an ejected, unfired bullet is wishy-washy as far as, but Judge Gull's going to admit it. She's already said, because the defense tried to get it like thrown out, and she said, no, it's going to be admissible. It's up to the jury to decide the weight of the of that testimony and of that science. So it'll be up to the jury to decide whether they want to believe it or not. The description of the crime scene. There had been no description of the crime scene up to this point. Nobody knew. So here's a picture. You've got Abby, you've got Libby. Libby had no clothes on. Abby had Libby's clothes on. Abby's clothes were found in the river. Isn't Nancy Grace making fun of this theory? Oh, the whole Odinism thing? Yeah, I think, as far as I know, Nancy Grace is very pro-prosecution on this case. She always seems to tell the line of whatever the law says. There you go. So if you'll notice, there's a red circle that says tree, and Libby's arm is outstretched, touching the tree. The red lines represent sticks, and sticks that were laid on top of their bodies. I also have a picture of some runes, so you can see for yourself if you think that those sticks were just randomly thrown on their bodies to try and cover them and hide them, or if they might have been placed there on purpose by someone trying to make a rune. And then you see the rune that's in blue. It's a white rune in blue. That's a combination of different runes, not just one rune. That's a combination. So sometimes they can be you can have different runes put together. So are these a single rune? Are they double or triple runes? Are they not runes at all? The but sticks in these layouts were found on top of Abby and Libby's bodies. Abby had some horns or antlers, like sticks that were placed in the ground next to her head. Police say it was just coincidental. There's somebody named Elvis Fields that actually admitted to different people that he placed antlers next to the girls' heads. He said horns, though, I think, but it would be antlers. Anyway, their throats were cut. I mean, the only trauma that we know of where their throats were cut, and so exsanguination or bleeding out would be their cause of death. However, Abby's body, which is dressed in Libby's clothes, had no blood anywhere on it. The clothes didn't have any blood on them. One of the witnesses said that they were very pale and white. One of the volunteers that found them said that their skin, their whole skin color was very white, meaning that that's called pallor mortis. So your livor mortis is when the gravity pulls the blood down. So that's already happened. And then pallor mortis is when you get that white as a ghost look, right? And there's timings of that. And I think it fits more with them being killed in the middle of the night than it does with them being killed the day before. So it would be 24, well, it would be about 10 hours later if they were killed in the afternoon. No, I take that back. From midnight to that's 12. So it's more than 12. It's like 12 plus 7, 20 hours. So 19, 20 hours by the police, and I don't think, I looked it up at the time, and I don't think pallor mortis would last 20 hours. You would start to get discoloration. Chalet says, I say shady boots. Definitely some shady boots going on here. So Libby's body's naked. Her throat is cut. There is blood sprinkled on her, like dripped from above, sprinkled, not like from the wound. Okay. There is no big pools of blood at their necks. There's no big pools of blood anywhere around their bodies, except for the blood that's sprinkled on Libby. There is, and I believe her hands may have had blood on them as well. So some people think that Libby's hand would have touched the tree, right? Because there's marks, and the blood was tested. It is Libby's blood that is on the tree. Now, this is known as the F tree because people think it looks like a rune was being like painted as similar to a letter F. And I've got a picture of that coming up next. Anything else I need to say about the crime scene? The tree. Hand. Oh, as far as Libby, because they're saying like somebody might have leaned on the tree. Libby, her only injury that we know of. I mean, I don't know. There could have been like an ear cut off as a trophy that wasn't mentioned or something. You know what I'm saying? But the only injury that we know about is that their throats were slit. If the only way the blood got on the hand is after her throat got slit, then she wouldn't have been standing up to touch the tree. So it couldn't, because a lot of people say maybe Libby. No, I don't think they were killed there at all because there's no pool of blood. There's no other blood anywhere. All right. Which is part of the new stuff that I've got for you coming at the end. So the two other things I have listed here about the Franks memo that I found important was that the defense actually named police officers that they suspected of corruption. Okay. They didn't just say, we think law enforcement in general planted this or that, or did this or did that and everything. No, they named names. Okay. They also named potential suspects: Brad Holder, Patrick Westphal. They mentioned Johnny Messer. I think they mentioned Elvis Field as being part of an Odinist cult. Now, Patrick Westphal has done interviews, and he says, yes, he practices Asatru, but they are not white supremacist Odinists. That there's like biker gangs and prison gangs and stuff that are white supremacists that we might have called skinheads back in the day, that have latched on to Odin and Viking and Norse practices to justify their racism. And they tend to be called, at least according to Patrick Westphal, they're Odinists. He's Asatru. But he doesn't believe that, like, a white polar bear can't mate with a black bear. So nature, pretty much they're just following nature, he says, which isn't racist, according to Patrick Westphal. But Brad Holder, what you see, the two pictures next to the runes, are from his Facebook page. All right. One, he made in all those leaves. If you look, you can see that there's some sticks making the letter F, making like a letter F. And so he's making a rune, and he says he's making a rune out of the sticks on the ground. So he's very much into runes and sticks and stuff, right? The next picture next to it that's a painting is a painting. It looks like maybe he made the painting. There's a man hanging upside down in a tree, very much similar to the same position of like the girls, right? But they're not, at least they're not hanging on the tree when they're found. They're on the ground. Were they ever hanging in a tree? I don't know. But I will say that it's like the part of the Norse religion with Odin, that it's the mythology, that ancient history, whatever they want to call it, folklore, whatever word, with Odin hanging from the tree and all this kind of stuff. So it'd be like a Christian painting the Last Supper, right? It's part of the religion to have this. But the similarities, and I mean, so there's also no denying that Brad Holder is definitely in love with Odin. All right. Okay. Next slide. We've got that covered. Here's a picture. Oh, so this is a larger, so you can see easier of the painting. He says, well, I started back acrylic, Hail Odin. Okay, and he says Logansport, Indiana. And this was February 17th, 2018. So this is a year after the girls have died. Now there's a photograph that he posted that's not available anymore anywhere. But the defense, law enforcement had it, I think, and the defense got a hold of it because they didn't turn it over in discovery, but they found another way, and they got a hold of this picture that was posted by Brad Holder maybe a month or two, I think, before the girls. And it has like two models laying down in the forest, in the tree, laying down on the ground in the middle of trees, positioned exactly the same way the girls were found. So that's pretty sus. Or maybe if somebody wanted to frame Brad Holder, they could say, oh, well, okay, we're going to position the girls the same way that his picture was. Could be that too, right? And on the left side, next to my face, is the actual tree with the actual blood. That's Libby's blood on the tree. You can see if you think it's an F or not. But that's a picture of the tree. All right. So now we got Brad covered. So now I want to go over some of the latest things that have happened through all the different court documents, through court hearings. They just had a big hearing last week. I think that they went through some motions, and one of the motions was a motion to dismiss. So there was a lot of people up giving testimony and things, but most of that information was stuff that we already know from the previous filings. It's just people giving actual testimony about it, right? But here's some of the things that had, at least over the last couple of months, and some in the last couple of days, that's new. The geofencing, all right? The prosecution wants to keep this out, but it was the prosecution's information given in discovery where the defense found out about this. There were I wrote 3 phones pinged. I shouldn't say ping. They didn't ping. They were geofenced. That's different than pinging. Pinging, you need to triangulate. Geofencing is like by the satellite. All right. So 3 phones pinged in the area where the girls were found at law enforcement time of the murders, right? Which was, say, between 2 and 4 p.m. and within a 60 to 100 foot radius. 3 phones were mapped. I should say mapped. Police never followed up on the identity of the owners of those phones. In 5-7 years? They knew that there were 3 phones within 60 to 100 feet of where the girls' bodies were found at the time that they say the murders occurred. And they never went to find out who the identity of the owners, whose phones were they? Never investigated it. Were they witnesses that saw something or saw nothing? Were they the guilty parties doing something? Or maybe it wasn't the real time and place of the deaths. And so there would be no bodies there, right? Or, if you were police, though, and you believe that they did happen at that time, at that place, then you would want to find out either they're witnesses that maybe saw something happening, heard something happening, right? Or the guilty parties themselves. Who else is going to be there at the time? So that's sus. So that geofencing was a big bomb. Hey, stop it. The cat's scratching on my TV. No, stop it. Spunky. Okay, this just came out in the hearings that the ME, it would be the ME that would take the body temperatures. They would come out to the body, and then before they move the body, they would take the temperatures. The temperatures were never taken. Hey, Spunky. Come here, Spunky. Come here, Spunky. Trying to draw him away from the screen so I can continue. So the body temperatures were never taken. So the ME never made a determination on time of death. Come here. I think he knows that, I'm going to get up, or she knows I'm going to get up and get her. And that's what she wants. So it's almost like I'm reinforcing the behavior by getting her, but I can't let her stay doing it either. Okay. No time of death. And let me tell you, there's enough scientific ways. There's at least 10 different things you can check, like the vitreous fluid in the eye, the body temperature, any bug activity, all kinds of different things. What's the state of the rigor mortis? All of these things that would make a difference between, let's see, if they were killed, let's say 2 a.m, so 10 hours. If someone's been dead for 10 hours compared to 20 hours, there's enough changes in what happens to the body during 20 hours, right? I'm telling you, there's enough changes that happen that if you're trying to pinpoint it, they always say, oh, between this time and this time, right? Especially when they were found less than 24 hours of when they were abducted, right? About 22 hours from when they were abducted, they were found. So in that time frame, you can nail down a time of death, and the ME didn't. That's sus to me. That an ME is not going to do that. So, Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Leesenby called off the search that night. This is important to remember. Excuse me. So you got all these searchers. They don't want to quit until, oh my God, the cat's making noise. Stop it. Stop it. Psst. They don't want to quit. They're going to keep going all night till they find them. First 24 hours. They're not going to quit. They're told by law enforcement, by Carroll County Sheriff Leesenby, stop searching, go home. Most people did. Some people didn't. Some people stayed and kept searching. They heard screams. One of them had a dog that went wild around 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Why would the sheriffs? It wasn't a blizzard. It wasn't like there was danger to the searchers, so we're going to have to call this off, start fresh in the morning. And you go in shifts. So if you keep looking, you don't want those girls to free. It's February. Even though it was a nice day for February to go for a hike, it was still February. And temperatures drop overnight. And you want to find them. So that's sus to me. Mumsy says I should be an investigator. You think they want me here in Cambodia? I can investigate crimes in Cambodia. They had one, there was a picture of someone that had hung themselves when I was working for Khmer Times. Of course, we didn't publish the picture, but, in investigating the news story, I saw the picture. The rope was around the chin, like this, around the chin. It wasn't around the neck. It was around the chin. Tell me that person wasn't dead already and then just hung up in the tree. I could do a lot here. Okay. Now this is kind of some new stuff that just came out recently, this last one before I leave this screen. Libby's phone stopped pinging I'm just going by memory because I've got slide 10 in front of this part. Libby's phone stopped pinging at 5:44 p.m. on the 13th, the day they went missing. It stopped. So they were running pings and it stopped pinging. Well, police weren't called until 5:30, right? And from AT&T or whatever, then the information they got back, the phone was not giving any pings back after 5:44. But at 4:33 a.m., the phone came back on and like 14 or 15 text messages downloaded into the phone. I believe that they had an iPhone. Doesn't matter. See this little button on the side? I want to do my phone. I got to push that button for it to wake up. Or especially if it's all the way off, you got to hold that button down. Some people are thinking, oh, maybe it got wet. And so it stopped working and then it dried out and then it started working again. No, give me a break. No, somebody turned that phone on at 4:33. So you can't tell me that and oh, by the way, the phone, when we go back to the crime scene, was found under a shoe, under Libby's shoe that was under under Abby's body. So Libby's shoe, because remember, Libby was naked. So the phone was either under or inside of Libby's shoe, which was under Abby's body. Okay. So that's some sus stuff. Like I said, the puzzle pieces don't miss. The puzzle pieces don't fit in this case, right? So what's the truth? I can't give you that. But Crime Night with Joe Lewis had a show today, had a live show today. And let me copy this. Give me a second. There we go. Whoops. Let me copy this link because I highly recommend. Now, okay, Crime Night kind of goes a little bit into rants. He rants a lot. So I don't watch everything that he makes. But this one I was like, because the title was something about like, I know where they were killed. Excuse me, I know the location where they were killed. I figured it out. I'm like, okay, let me hear what he's got to say. All right. So he does this right here in this part. He stands, so he's not sitting in the chair. He says, I got to stand up. He's pretending like he's talking to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. He's talking as if he's talking to the jury. And he gets this bowl and he proceeds to put 3 liters of blood. I'm sorry. He puts 3 liters of water in this bowl because, as he explains, that in order for exsanguination, bleeding to death, to happen, you have to lose 3 liters of blood. All right. I mean, that's like scientific. All right. So where are the 3 liters of blood? And we can all talk about that. But he's like, let me do this demonstration. And that's 3 liters of blood for each girl, a total of 6 liters of blood. Yet the crime scene does not have this much blood. So therefore, they probably weren't killed there. Right? Okay. So I just did a screenshot, right? Next slide. Then he went on to talk about this. 2/13. The date was 2/13, February 13th. The time that the video of their abduction is 2/13. The place that he believes was 2/13. Now, I'll add one to that and say that I think they were killed at 2:13 a.m. I mean, if you want to go with this, that somebody planned this with 2:13 in mind, then I would add one then that they were probably killed at 2:13 a.m. All right. So what's this place, 2:13, that he's talking about? Well, let me give you a little bit of orientation of the area. Here you can see Delphi is the major white area right there. The heart is where the girls were found, where they were abducted, and just across the Deer Creek was where their bodies were found. The green triangle is going to become important in just a couple of slides. It's a campsite. All right. And that's where the campsite is, right on the river, on the Deer Creek River, which then goes down further. And then you'll see, if you go in a line from the heart to the triangle, then you see a small little town called Camden. Well, that's where the 2:13 location that Joe Lewis of Crime Night believes is there, and I'll show you in just a second. But I want to point out one more thing. If you go straight down the road from Camden, you see there's a little town called Flora, because there's a lot of stuff going on down in Flora, in particular with houses burning down and people being killed in arson fires in Flora. And a lot of people believe that those arson fires are maybe connected. All right. So just to give you a little bit of orientation of the area. Now, that's Delphi, Indiana. Okay. So here is a close-up. We've got the Heart, where the girls were, the campsite, and then Camden. That is 9 miles, like on the road, right? Not as a bird. I've got my blue line like a bird flies, right? But if you're taking the roads, it's 9 miles. It's about 15 minutes. Okay. So if they were abducted and put into a car and taken to Camden, that's only 15 minutes away. All right. Okay. You guys are with me. This building is a Masonic Lodge, number 211. The street address is 213 Main Street. That's his big reveal. Now, I don't want to just steal all his thunder. I'm going to tell you, it's an hour and a half. It's worth an hour and a half listening to what Joe Lewis has to say, building his case, okay, and stuff. So that's why I put the link in here. Please, if you're so inclined, go over, watch it, give it a like if you like it. But that's the Masonic Lodge at 213 Main Street, Camden. So Joe thinks that they were actually killed there and then taken to the campsite that we're going to see next, and then floated down the river back to where their bodies were, to place the bodies. I'm all for maybe some kind of ritual happened with the girls in the Masonic Lodge at some point after they were taken. But the screams at 2:13 a.m. heard by the volunteers that were supposed to have left leads me to believe that maybe, or I don't know, who screamed. Was it one of the girls or was it somebody else? Because they weren't killed where their bodies were laid, but maybe they were killed within the area. Like, if it's the dead of night and someone screams at that campsite, are you going to hear the scream? Is it going to echo? That'd be an interesting experiment. I don't know. It was at 6-7 miles or something. That's kind of a distance. But I don't know. That throws me, the screams. Next. So just in case you didn't know, Brad Holder is on the left with one of his sons, Levi. His son, Logan, was dating Abby, who was only 13 or 14, but they were dating. So that's Brad Holder with his little Masonic apron, member of this lodge on 213 Main Street. And then the picture on the right is like congratulations to Nick McClellan, who got his MM. I don't know exactly what level MM is in the Masonic Lodge, but he got it. And the ceremony was at a different lodge. But he's a member of Lodge 211, which is the 213 Main Street Lodge in Camden. All right. Nick McClelland, I haven't mentioned that name in this particular video. So if you're new to this case, that's the prosecutor who's pushing this case, that Richard Allen is like the only person. Even though earlier, when they first first arrested Richard Allen, they were saying, well, we're still continuing. This is an open investigation. We're still continuing to look and see if there's any other people that are involved, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they found out there weren't any other people involved. I don't know. I think that, this is maybe they know exactly who's involved and they're trying to protect them. Whether something happened inside that lodge or just by one or more of the members of the lodge, they're duty bound to protect them. So you saw on the map where the triangle was of the campsite. Well, this is an aerial view of the campsite. It looks like a pickup truck to me. In his video, he keeps saying an SUV, but I think it looks more like a pickup. I don't know. It's a vehicle. And where just right in here is the campsite, and like right here is the river. So this camping area is owned by a guy named Jack Gish, who is a friend, which is blocked, of Mike Patty. Who was Mike Patty? The grandfather of Libby, who was the main, maybe sacrificed person, right? And gosh darn, I'm not saying he's bridge guy, but doesn't he, from a distance, doesn't he look like, there's so many people, Ron Logan could be bridge guy. The mayor could be bridge guy. Mike Patty himself could be bridge guy. Brad Holder could be bridge guy. Richard Allen could be bridge guy. There's so many people that could fit that description. Anyway, you can see here the campsite is next to the river. Here's the campsite again. You notice there's like some little outbuildings. And Doug Carter made the oddest comment in one of the first press conferences about the shack. Like, oh, it's kind of like the movie The Shack. I've never seen the movie The Shack. I don't think I'll want to if it has anything to do with like this. Queen says, just listening in and doing some chores. Shalay says, yeah. Shalay says there's a lot of people that look like that. Exactly, especially from this area. Shalay says she's about ready to go leave and pick up her little boy from preschool. Love you all. Love you too, Shalay. Love, love, love. Actually, almost done. Oh my gosh, it's 10. Yeah. So this is my last slide. My questions. Was Richard Allen part of this and chosen to be a fall guy? For whatever reason, it's like, okay, dude, you got to be the sacrificial lamb. Just, eat it, right? So you're part of it. Or is a group, the Odinists, the Masons, somebody else, some kind of group responsible, and then Richard Allen is an innocent bystander used to keep attention away from the group? Is that what's happening? I don't know. But one thing that I wholeheartedly believe is that the girls were not killed where they were found, and they were not killed immediately after the abduction. So there you go. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Everybody loves everybody. I love you guys too. And don't forget that love transcends time and space. So wherever and whenever you're watching this, I love you. I do. Yeah, I love you.
I love you.
Yeah, Chani loves you too. She goes like that. Yeah. Can you see? Come close. Oh, here. Let me remove this.
I love you.
There you go. Let me do it. Look at that. She's so happy. Hugs and love you too. Exactly. Yes, Queen. Much love, everyone. Go ahead and like it if you did like it. And tomorrow we'll play games again. Oh, look, there's Piggy Wiggy. Piggy Wiggy. Frugal says, what an odd music stream. Where? You guys hear music? What? Did you guys see my short? I did a short today. I made it with my class that I was tutoring helped me make it. We did it on purpose, but it was like It really happened, but then I said, hey, that would make a great short video. Let's like reenact it, you know. Oh, you're joking. Okay. I was like, what odd music stream. Oh, because normally we're doing music. Yeah, got it. Okay, guys. So I'll see you tomorrow for some more fun and games. No, your show today wants music. Okay. Yeah, and because there's no music, it's odd. Yeah. It's okay. It's all good. See you guys tomorrow. Maybe we'll do some Gen X games. Wednesday's supposed to be Gen X. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have fun. It'll be games, whether it's Gen X games or Music Jeopardy. Bye. Love you.